Okay. Again, there's no need to mute your phone. You go right ahead and ask questions. But if you're more comfortable, up in the top, there's a Q&A where you can type questions in. And I'm going to ask, maybe Mike and Jan can help monitor that for us so we don't miss any questions.
Jan is just listening because she's trying to multitask, and WebEx and my computer tend to fight with one another, the live meeting.
Oh, well.
So
yeah, okay,
I'm just listening.
Okay, so Michael and Pat and Jane will help.
Mike can do that.
Okay, great. But again, this is just a Q&A session. You should have watched the trainings for Training 1, the sessions for Training 1, sessions 1, 2, and 3, and there were 2 parts of 3. And also now, we're asking that you make sure you go all the way and watch session 4 by December 1st. And the deadlines have been changed a bit, which is good. We all have more time. And again, I'll just remind you that this is a work in progress. There's never been a digital library like this before. So as your state leadership team is trained, things have been very fluid and flexible. And we're trying to keep up with those changes and pass those on to you as soon as possible. So basically, what is this digital library? Just as a review, it's going to be an on-demand resource for those who are using the Smarter or are part of the Smarter Balanced Consortium. The focus is really on formative assessment practices, things that are going to be practical and usable for teachers in their day-to-day instruction, and then also some professional learning resources for teachers. And of course, all tied to the Common Core. The Smarter Balanced Digital Library has a formal definition, which you can find in lots and lots of places, but here it is again. Pat, please feel free to jump in, and Mike and Jan at any time. And if you guys have questions, just stop us too.
Will do.
Okay, to further explain this formative assessment process, there are 4 attributes. And what they're asking is that when you submit a resource, it speaks to at least one of these 4. It does not have to cover all 4, but at least one. And again, the expectations, SLT is your state leadership team. And
John?
Yes.
Back to that one about covering at least one of the 4. I think we kind of decided that just covering that first one's probably not going to be enough. It needs to be one of the more substantial formative ones. If it only hits one, it really needs to hit one of those other 3 really well. Not just clarifying your intended learning. That shouldn't be. If it does only hit one really well, it shouldn't just be that one. It should be going at least a little farther around that circle.
Great. Thank
Hello.
you. Yes. We're just doing a little review. And then the SNEs, the State Network of Educators, that's all of you who will be submitting resources. And this, all of this information is on the wiki, and you have access to it through the webinars too for Training 1. Your state leadership team is listed right here, and hopefully sometime this week you have received an email from your work group leader, an individual email. There are about 10 or 11 on each work group so that you know the one person on this list who you can go to first. And if we don't know the answer, we'll ask Matt, who is our leader, and he can refer questions also to the national group.
Have that, Joan, by Friday?
Pardon me?
We're supposed to have that list of the other 10 SNEs by Friday?
If you have not already received an email, you should.
Okay, I haven't by Friday.
Okay, so, this is Krista Bergerman. Sorry, I can't get on the live meeting. Apparently, I don't have the Java Oracle I need on Mac.
Okay.
So I'm only able to do it by phone conference.
Yeah, just listen in. That's fine.
Okay, okay, good.
I'm having problems right now. I'm not able to move this forward, so we'll just go ahead to the next. There we go. Again, just to review, you will create a cover profile. That's your step one. And submit your resource. And in step two, okay, there will be a state network educator who will take that resource through the gatekeeping criteria. If it is okayed, then step three is that same person will look at it in terms of the quality criteria, and then two others will review it. So there are many spots along the way when different people are looking at whether this resource meets the criteria. The next thing that happens is if all three agree, the resource is posted. If there is not total 100%, all three agree, it is sent to a member of a state leadership team for them to take a look at. And at this point, of course, or any of the other steps before that, it could be returned to the person who first submitted it with suggestions for editing. I'm sure you guys have seen your original agreement, and then there was an updated plan.
Right.
And I'm going to go forward here to some of these dates that you received in an email from Matt. So the thing to remember right now is by December 1st, you need to finish all of training 1, which includes the 4 sessions, and then have 2 resources submitted by December 16th in order to receive your first payment, which will come on January 24th.
That's cool.
Okay, and this timeline and all of this information that I'm talking about is listed on the wiki. The wiki has an event calendar, and we have put all of this information on there too. I'm going to stop right now. We have a couple questions. Please just ask them right now.
Hi, this is Janelle Clapper. I do have a couple questions, and maybe you'll be getting to them, but when you submit your cover profile, that's at the same time you submit all the details of the lesson with the materials. Is that correct?
Yes.
Pardon me?
Yes, that is correct.
And is there like a template for the lesson plan, or is it everybody just does his or her own version of that?
There is no template. You are correct. You do your version of that.
And you would expect to include any supplemental materials that the teacher might need to teach the lesson, like a rubric for the summative assessment or things like that?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Pat, Mike, or Jan, anything to add to that?
I don't.
Nope.
Nope, I'm good. Nope, I'm good, thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
The real thing to keep in mind is this resource is what are you doing in your classroom to elicit evidence of learning from students. So, however you do your lessons or however you prepare materials, as long as the cover profile communicates the key intent of what you're doing in terms of assessment and Common Core.
And it's really focused on the formative assessment piece.
Yes, it definitely
Is that correct?
Yes, it has to include assessment.
Okay.
And that
Thank you.
As you go through the cover profile, you will see that as you fill that out, you will see that those are the things they're asking for. The wiki I've been talking about, here's the URL again. so that you can go and review anything that we've been talking about, especially the deadlines. And the guides are there that you were introduced to through all of the Training 1 materials. As I said earlier when we were just chatting, we have had many copyright questions, and the copyright and licensing is extremely important because it's being included in this Smarter Balanced Digital Library. The requirements go beyond just what would be fair use for educational purposes in your classrooms. So if you have a question, just email me anytime. You could first start with your leader of your work group, but anytime, just email me on that. And there is a copyright page that we put on the wiki with some additional materials to help you out. I think basically, if you're in doubt, ask for permission. Use the copyright clearance form.
So, and this is Coz. On that, for my sophomore composition class, we do the Writing to Learn through the state website. And so one of my lessons is the kids use South Dakota My Life Resume Builder. They build a resume, and they build a resume, and then they submit a cover letter to the South Dakota state site. Are we licensed, and is that copyrighted, or what do we do for that if I'm using that as one of my lessons I'd like to submit?
If you're taking it out of South Dakota My Life, that is something that is, it's not free and openly available. That is something that the state pays for, correct?
Correct.
And
so
that's the same for Right to Learn.
The Right to Learn is a state mandated. You know, we have to submit 2 each semester.
You need to do 2 a year.
Or 2 a year. I'm sorry. Yes, 2 a year. Thank you.
That's okay. No, but
I'm sorry. I have semester classes, so each of my classes each semester have to submit. But yeah, it's 2 submissions a year.
And since Right to Learn is a copyrighted licensed product, other people wouldn't have access to it nationally. But the process is really what you're talking about.
Right.
And how could someone then use formative assessment to
in their state?
In their state to do a similar activity that's really dealing with career readiness, which is where you're going with it, I assume.
Right. So do I use my template I have, or do I just leave that blank? Because like National Writing Project does similar things across the nation with the submissions and things like that. I was just in Chicago August for that.
I don't know about anyone else, but I would think using the National Writing, because that is more readily accessible to other folks.
So it might be better to do the National Writing Project. Yep, that would make sense. Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
I think the way to think of it, too, is if it's a product that someone has to purchase to be able to do your activity or lesson, you might want to look at an alternative way.
Right.
Okay. So I have a quick question. If you have a PBL that you've developed, then ideally we're not just including, are we to include everything, including the links for, the YouTube videos that go with it and everything else, or is that too much to include?
You would need to include everything.
Everything. Okay, no matter what. So the links, the whole works, obviously including the assessments.
Yes.
Okay.
So that someone could take your whole resource and go to their
Correct.
classroom and
Right.
adapt it and use it in their way.
Okay. Now, if it's something that I'm in the process of trying to get a grant for to enhance for the following year, does that make any difference?
No, as long as you have copyright permission, you're not taking someone else's work and not giving them that.
Okay.
I don't know are there restrictions for the grant that you're applying for?
No, I'm working on it now, but as far as I know, I haven't seen anything at this point that indicates that. It hasn't been asked me if it's been published anywhere, and maybe that's just something I need to quickly ask them. because it's
Yeah, you
something
might
that
wanna
I
check.
definitely, what's that?
You might want to check with them on that.
Yeah, yep, I definitely will. I definitely will because, I mean, obviously I don't want to compromise my grant.
Exactly.
So, okay.
Do we have other questions?
I have a question about the cover. Do you want me to ask that now, or would you rather wait till you're further into your presentation?
No. These are just reminders. Ask away.
Okay, I have a question on page 7 of the on page 7 of the cover profile. It's the smarter balanced keywords. Is there a place I can get some help with knowing what these things are, or what we should check?
Okay, there's a glossary. Have you taken a look at the glossary?
No, I have not.
That might be your first place. And then
Okay.
if you're still struggling with that, shoot us an email and we'll help you out on that.
Okay. And my second question on the cover is on page 9. Could you explain what assesses, teaches, and requires? I would think our lesson is going to both assess and teach, but what's the requires column for? Or am I misunderstanding that?
I'm quick going into a cover profile. I didn't have that in front of me. Anyone else have it?
Oh, okay.
That's okay. I'm looking at it.
I have it here.
Is it profile A or B?
I'm just looking at the blank one.
Oh, the template. Okay, got it.
The template, yes.
Okay.
And what page were you on again?
On page 9.
Okay. And of course, I have everything in front of me on this.
So when I look at it, I take it as what the document might be lacking or what the lesson might be lacking.
Pardon me?
When I looked at it, I took it as, and I might be misinterpreting it also, I took it as that after I've gone through that lesson at this last part here, if I see a Common Core standard that it's not addressed, that I check requires.
Why would you have something in your lesson? I'm confused. You mean part of your lesson would not be part of the Common Core?
I took it as if I'm reviewing someone else's, I could be completely off base. I took it as if I'm looking at someone else's, if I'm looking at it to trying to decide if it should go on to the gatekeeper, that perhaps, like I said, it should pass through, but it's lacking something or it needs some twerking or, tweaking or whatever you want to call it, that I took it as that maybe it requires a little bit more addressing of this particular standard. But maybe I'm looking at it wrong.
Well, it sounds like you're talking about the gatekeeper would do that. I thought this was part of the cover profile that the person who designed the resource fills out.
The SN.
Yeah, like me as a teacher.
Right. Maybe I'm completely looking at it wrong. Okay.
I'm not following either. When you create your cover profile, and that helps further describe and set a framework for your resource that you're submitting. And then the next step is the gatekeeping.
Right, exactly. No, I meant before you submit it to the gatekeeper. That's exactly what I meant.
Okay.
But maybe I'm doing it out of context, which might very well be.
Well, are you on page 9 of the template for the cover profile?
Yes, I was.
It's okay, and it's tab 4, tags.
Just a minute. Let me come back into it. Cover profile. Hold on just, of course, now it jumped out of it. Oh, okay, no. I did. I'm sorry. I have that completely wrong. If you looked at what tab 4, if you take a look at it in the other document, which is the cover profile guide, it tells you that tab 4 under require, it tells you that if appropriate, identify the standard to which the resource is aligned and the alignment type. If it assesses, hit assess. If it teaches a particular standard, hit teach. If a standard is prerequisite to the materials in the resource, select requires.
Okay, prerequisite. Okay,
right.
That makes sense.
I'm sorry, I was talking about something completely different. My bad.
I thought you were too.
I'm so sorry.
That
I was looking at the wrong thing. Well, I was looking at the wrong one, but yeah.
So that just means it's a prerequisite. Okay, that makes sense then.
Yep. Sorry about that. I was looking at the wrong one first.
There's so much new verbiage here. I think we're all, having sat on the, sitting on the software team designing this, I know we get ourselves confused too.
Between the acronyms that I can't keep straight.
Exactly.
So sorry about that. Yeah, but under the tab 4 that it explains in the cover profile guide, it says that you click that if a standard is a prerequisite.
Okay, and it looks like on that page there's only room for three Common Core standards. Is that correct? What if you have a lesson that really has quite a few? Are you limited to 3?
When you get into the live, there's a little more room, but really be judicious because we're trying to, hone what we're doing. What is the thing that you're going to be really assessing with this?
Right.
Oh, okay. All right, that makes sense.
And again, the printed things are just the example. It's a little more fluid when you're actually in the system.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, we have another question about copyright. If your lesson or your resource has parts of lots of other ideas that you have gotten or accumulated over time, how do you copyright those? Well, as best as you can, you should go back and see where you first got that idea. A lot of us do that. We mix and match and adapt. But as best as you can, if you can go back and do that, or if you think it's something that you have yourself recreated and there's no existing copyright, then you're good on that.
Okay.
But you might also want to assign a Creative Commons to your own work. And Rose, if that's your question, you can email me separately and give me an exact example.
Okay.
Generally speaking, if you want to use like an article from a magazine, are those generally all copyrighted?
Yes.
They are?
Yes.
And do you have to contact the magazine to get permission, or?
Yes.
Yeah, I have a question along that line too, Joanne, with, we bought Prentice Hall books, and so we have them on our iPad now. So all my PDFs are through Prentice. Do I still have to contact Prentice if our school is licensed with them already?
Yes.
Yes? Okay.
Because that license for your school does not extend to this digital library.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So if you take something, so for instance, my PBL has links to YouTube. I'm assuming, is that copyrighted? I don't think I think it says explicitly if it's copyrighted.
Right. You have to look at the bottom of the description of the video right on YouTube. And if it says a standard YouTube license, you need to contact the original owner.
Okay, and then if you took an article, same way then, so if you took an article online that was from a magazine or something like that, same thing, then you have to get permission?
Yes. Unless in your lesson plan, you just say, read this article and you give the link. But if you're going to reproduce the article, you have to have permission.
Got it.
And you can link to anything in your written
explanation
of your lesson.
Sure.
But
Okay,
again,
got
that
it.
link cannot be behind a paywall because other
Okay.
people would not be able to reach it.
Sure. Okay, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, because with YouTube you can link without doing that. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I thought I read that you couldn't provide online links because they might not be permanent, so that you should not do that. Did I misunderstand that?
You want to be careful.
Yes.
But if it's something like a National Geographic, something that's pretty stable,
Unless
you could
want
include
permission to include the entire work. So it would be readily available. But yeah, I would think that National Geographic is one that's going to be there. That's
Okay.
kind of a murky question because do you remember the fishbowl example that you saw in the training, and that was a video? So, like, if you were going to include that entire video, you would need permission from who created that.
Okay. What if you want to include like a passage from a classic novel like The Great Gatsby? You want to just include a few passages. Is that copyrighted material?
Yes, it is, unless it was published before 1923 and it does not have a current copyright.
Okay, so that's kind of, you would have to contact the publisher of the book
Yes.
to get permission. Does that usually, does it happen? Do they get permission for that usually? Do you know?
It's going to depend, and it's going to, like with something like The Great Gatsby, it's going to really depend on the estate of the author. That one might be easier than some of the others.
J.D. Salinger wouldn't be fun.
Yeah, like Salinger would not be doable.
Wouldn't be possible.
But, you know,
so we're kind of limited on that sort of, on using literature then, unless it's something really old.
We can thank Walt Disney for that.
Okay. Well, it's good to know ahead of time before you make a big plan. And
well, and instead of including the actual passage, you could describe what passage, you could be more descriptive instead of reproducing. Does that make sense?
Not really. You couldn't like say a page because all the books are a little different. And, if you were having students look for figurative language in a certain passage, it would have to be there.
Yeah, that's true. That would make it easier, but I was thinking,
Could you reference the chapter and do a description in the upload of, what that passage was describing?
Maybe.
It
wouldn't be as convenient for the teacher, but, they'd have to hunt for it. But.
You could maybe even do chapter and paragraph. Chapter 4, paragraph 25.
Yeah, because that would be there.
Okay. Well, that's one. Thank you for the advice. That would be one way to get around it, I guess.
Yeah. Great idea.
Yeah. Okay, so can we assume then that the examples that are on the website, that are on our wiki space, and they say, like, for instance, I'm looking one about good versus evil, or humans good or evil, for 11th and 12th grade literature, and it specifically says that you need chapter 13 of Leviathan. So we are assuming then that they got that permission?
No, because they're just referring you to it. They didn't reproduce the entire chapter there.
So if we refer it, then that would answer that other lady's question.
Okay.
Right, but she's saying she wanted to select a specific passage.
Right. Because I was wondering about that, Sean, with Krista when I was looking at that one, and then the narrative of Frederick Douglass, too.
Right.
Another resource sample they have on here. And
okay, so if you're just simply saying you need this material and take a look at this chapter, then you're okay. But if you actually reproduce two particular passages, use as, for instance, an analysis, then you have to have that copyright permission.
Exactly. Unless
Okay.
it is a work that was published before 1923.
Right. Okay, thank you. Now I understand. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, because they also have an Emily Dickinson poem on this sample one, too. And I was going to ask about poems.
Oh, that's probably before, maybe
Yep.
that was published earlier, too.
Well, they just had on here, this work is supported by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. I'm not sure if that's just the aspect, or I don't know. I'll have to look at it.
And again, if anything is in question, just email me and we will research that. We might not know the answer right off the top, but we can research that. For instance, today I got a question about a great Mom Pa Kettle video clip that was posted to YouTube. Well, technically, that clip comes from a movie that was put out in the 1940s, so it's not public domain, right? And it has a YouTube, the standard YouTube license. So technically, that person has to contact YouTube.
Are we talking about one of the Mom Pa Kettle math problems?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Because they're great.
It is great. And part of it, you know, fair use in your classroom is much easier than covering what we need to do here for copyright and licensing. This isn't impossible. We just have to take it one more step.
Okay, so am I jumping ahead? Please let me know if I am. And I might have missed something in the beginning. Because I have a Mac, apparently I had a lot of issues getting a lot of the material, so I'm a little bit behind.
And we're sorry.
So December 1st, our first deadline, so then we're supposed to have our first, plan submitted. Is that the idea then for December 1st?
By December 1st, you should have done all of training 1, which includes session 1 through 4. Having your 2 resources submitted is December 16th. And we do apologize, but they keep adjusting the dates to be helpful. Give everyone a little more time.
Sure, you bet.
Is there something,
go ahead.
Is there something we're supposed to do so you know for sure that we've seen all of the trainings, or like tonight attending this? Is there something that we're supposed to do?
So we trust you to do that. You're all professionals.
Oh, okay. I just didn't know if there was some form or something I was supposed to fill out with my name on it, or, I wasn't sure. And I also am on a Mac, so I wasn't able to view the meeting, so I'm just listening.
Yes.
Right.
I guess the way to look at it is, if you submit your cover profile and your resources and everything goes smoothly, it's obvious you've been doing your homework.
Yep, that is true.
But Krista, you have to write a 5-page essay on Mac and PC differences.
That would be a good research paper for your students.
I might be able to write a paper on the properties of a flying Mac out of a window. I might be able to pull that off. We'll see what happens.
We totally apologize, but live meeting is our current tool at the state right now.
Oh, no, it's fine. I just obviously have to have an administrator download a certain type of Java program, so no problem.
Oh, I know it's frustrating. We have another question, the Q&A box. If you're elementary teachers, can you submit a resource for any grade level K-5 in any subject? And the answer to that is yes. And of course, you want to submit something that, think of something that just went wildly wonderful in your classroom, and that you can submit any subject. And in your profile, when you have logged on, you have also marked different areas that are your expertise. And so that when you review things, we hope that you review things that you have identified yourself as being an expert in.
Right.
Joanne, we brought up on Monday night team teaching, cross-curricular, and I teach a little unit with a history teacher, so I just have to get her permission to share that then, if we develop it together?
Yes.
Okay.
I would, only because you are being paid to do this.
Yeah, and I give her treats and stuff, but I understand that. Yeah.
Bribery does work well.
And I sub for her every once in a while.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
And this is just one thing we want to encourage, too, is that you focus on instructional materials. And we think what will be most successful is something that you have found success with in your classroom. And if it doesn't, explicitly include the formative assessment, that's what you can tweak on it to submit it as one of these resources.
Sure.
In addition to contacting your work group leader, you can also contact the Smarter Balance Library directly. There is a help desk, and that information was in some of your training materials, so it is on the wiki. But they have a phone number and also an email. And of course, first we recommend contact your work group leader or the leader of all of us, Matt Gill. And all of those.
Will we know by? Oh, sorry. Will we know by tomorrow who our work group leader is, or is that next Friday?
No. You should have all gotten an email from someone this week or last week.
No, I don't have one either yet.
I've never gotten an email, like a
Maybe
small
we're in
group
this
email.
group.
Did you get, let me ask you something, and you know what, I figured this out today talking to my leader who is Michael Rickert. He had sent me a list of I don't know, it was like 6 different things or whatever. But the attachments, I haven't had time to open it yet. That's how I figured out he was my leader, not because he said, I'm your leader.
Oh, he didn't say I'm your leader? Okay.
Right, but I was like, oh, wait a minute, he sent me this thing with 6 attachments. So when I was calling him today to tell him about the, not getting a hold of things, and he told me about the MAC issue, I'm like, I'm assuming you're my leader since you sent an email with attachments. He's like, oh, yeah. I'm like, okay. So sometimes that's kind of a clue. It told me, like, who's in my work group, and he was the one who actually sent the email. So the person who sends that work group email is actually your leader.
Right.
If that helps. So,
anybody right now who wants to tell me their name, I can look it up for you.
Oh, so like today, the person who sent us the email with the examples you said is our leader?
It was for me. That was the case with me.
Okay. So like mine was like Joan Uppel. That would be a leader. That would.
Oh, you get Joan?
Is that my leader then? I'm
I'll
thinking
just let
because there's
you
only
know.
a few names on the email.
Right. The group,
the
work group was 10 or 11. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So who got the email from Joan today?
Christy Smith.
Yes, Christy. This is Joan. You are in my work group.
Oh. Okay. Hello.
Yeah, that's how I figured it out. I was like, oh, okay. Outside the box thinking, I got this. So.
That Joan might be mine. I'm Coz.
Yes.
Joan, this is,
And you guys,
can you hear me? Joan, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I wasn't sure if I was muted or not. I tried to unmute. So let you know, y'all are kind of grouped alphabetically. So the very beginning of the alphabet, like the A's and the B's, and I can't remember if I got a C or 2 or not. I think I do. And then it goes on from there. But some people, if you're not getting it, I was talking with Matt about this earlier today, and Krista there as well. It may be because your system email is blocking Matt's emails because he's sending it to all of the SNEs. So it's like 70 people. So your system email may say, hey, this is too many people. This is spam. I'm blocking it. I don't know that that's happening with anybody, but I've seen that happen in school systems before.
Yeah.
So if you have not gotten emails from Matt, that's something to check into.
And when you email Matt, make sure you put Matthew. He had not gotten some emails too because of that. I'm trying to back up. Sorry. And I think I will post this list of SLTs right here on the wiki.
Thank you.
But you can also post anything on the wiki in the discussion, and we are monitoring that, so we will get your messages.
I
have a couple questions regarding the materials. On page 2 of the cover profile guide, it says everything has to be in Microsoft Office, PowerPoint, Excel, or Word. What about us Mac users that use Pages and Numbers and Keynote?
And that'd be for iPad too, if we're a one-to-one iPad.
And then also, one other thing too is it also states on there that the system does not allow web links to any other sites other than YouTube, Vimeo, SchoolTube, TeacherTube, and SlideShare. So there, you cannot link to other sites.
No, but you could put a link in like your lesson plan that's in a Word file, for instance.
Right. In general, they don't want external links and URLs like that because they may not be there a year from now. That kind of stuff changes and goes away on a regular basis. So that's the reasoning for not having those. What the preference is for everything to be actually physically downloaded, so that if there is some sort of resource, it's actually already in there with that resource, any type of documents or anything like that.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to that because it's not going to get you past the copyright issues if you just put a link to it, because according to this, it's not going to accept that link.
Okay, I thought we had that conversation. Okay, so that wasn't correct. Okay.
But back to the issue, what do we do if we're Mac users and iPad users and we use Numbers, Pages, and Keynote?
This is Jan, and I am sending an email as we speak to the Smarter Balance folks. How about that?
Okay.
Okay.
I don't have that document open, so I can't remember off the top of my head, but it doesn't allow a PDF.
Yes, you can turn anything into a PDF. It takes PDF.
So that's what I would do if I were using I'm a Mac user too. So I would just print to a PDF and send it off as PDF.
Right, but if you're using Keynote, it's not going to be accessible through a PDF. You're just going to have to.
No, you should be able to save your PowerPoint as a PDF.
And we'll double check that whole thing about the links, but the idea is instead of linking to a rubric, they want you to include the rubric, for example. But we had that discussion about maybe linking to a National Geographic article. We'll clarify that.
So if we've made numerous rubrics with the 6+1 writing traits, then we just need to contact 6+1 Writing Consortium and make sure that it's okay to use our rubric that we've made.
Yes, because aren't they the owner of that process?
The 6+ writing trait. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Other questions?
Are the lessons that we submit, do you think a lesson that can be taught, for example, in one block compared to a longer, like 2 or 3 day? Is there a preference about that?
Not that I'm aware of, Janelle.
Okay.
No, because I did ask before about a PBL, and my PBL is certainly, that's a comprehensive, that takes quite a few class periods to cover.
Okay, thank you.
And don't forget, I think some of the resources that we sent out, some were multi-day, or some of the ones I know that we've looked at, some would have been done over more than 1 day, some would have been a 1 day type resource. So I think you've got some variety of options on that.
All right, thank you.
And Lori, to answer your question, June is your work group leader.
Okay, I thought so. Thank you.
Joan, did you ever find out for Coz, Carla Kozak? Is it Matt Gill?
No, Carla.
It's right after me.
It's Pat.
I'm with Pat?
Carla.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I thought Carla was with me. I think I sent yours. Yours got sent out today, Carla.
Okay, if I haven't looked at my email, I didn't get anything from you yesterday.
Nope, you got it today.
Today? Okay.
Anyone else want to know for sure their work group leader? Or your SLT and other acronyms here?
Yeah, can I check mine? This is Peggy Basham, or Peggy Pope Basham.
Yours is me, Joan, and you should have received an email last night.
Okay. I'll double check that then. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
This is Bobby Matthews. Could you tell me who mine is?
Pat. Well, we know you'll have lots of other questions. We don't want to keep you late tonight, but please email or call anytime. And as you can see, if we don't know the answer, we'll find somebody who does, and we'll clarify.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks, you too.
Warm
Bye.
You guys are great.
Thanks. Bye. Bye, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
You still there, Joan?
I am. I'm just waiting to see if anybody at the last minute comes up with something.
Well, you got the cordial group, didn't you?
Well, actually, you know, it was really nice. They're helping each other.
Yeah,
I could not locate what they were talking about because I didn't have it on page 9. Mine was on page 7. So what did you talking about?
I was just thinking that was quite a bit different from the first one with down in, oh, that's right. You weren't on that, were you?
Well, no, I didn't hear that one. No, I'm going to stop recording now. I didn't hear that one, and I think, too,